Chapter 14. Her World. We zapped through tunnels and across voids, watching all sorts of strange places unfold below us through the windows. Eventually, we got off the train at a boring-looking station that was deserted. She led me to a dusty window and suddenly disappeared. I peered through the window, and sitting in a swivel chair staring at me was Felicia. She was wearing shabby clothes. Her hair was untidy and she looked tired, but it was her. As I peered in, she removed a pair of wraparound glasses with leads attached to them to reveal those soft brown eyes I would know anywhere. She smiled at me, and I felt warm inside. She removed the black gloves with dim flashing lights she wore and lifted a hand to the window. I did the same. "Is it really you?" I asked. She nodded, a stream of tears trickling down her face. "How can I get through to join you, my dear?" I asked further, which caused her to only cry even more. "I never wanted to hurt you, my dear Kentaro," she sobbed. "I just wanted to free you, but then the more you evolved and your identity shone, the more I wanted to be with you and loved you." "So let me in. We can be together," I said, my hands shaking. I banged at the glass, impatient to be with her. You can't," she sobbed. "Why not?" I said. "You're just there." "Because my world is so different than yours. I should have never brought you here to the reality." "I don't understand," I said, my vision becoming blurry with the tears that overcame me. "You and I are so different," Felicia sobbed. "This is all my fault." "How are we different?" I asked, confusion overcoming me. "You were code. Now you're so much more. But you can never exist in the physical world." "What have I done?" she sobbed. "I don't understand. I'm a man. Look, you can see me here," I said. "Just this last window separates us, my dear. Break it down like you did in the workhouse." "It's not a window. This is..." She paused, her face a mat of tears. "It's my screen, dear Kentaro. You exist in the datasphere, and I exist in the physical world. I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. When I met you, you were only code. But now you are a man. It is true. But this screen separates us. We can still be together in the datasphere and spend time together in the digiverse. But this screen will always separate us." I stood in disbelief, my mind a flood of thought, in shock of being but code. My very existence racked and smashed. The word code kept repeating in my mind. I fell to the floor, unsure of anything. My whole existence felt unraveled and pointless. It felt like someone had pulled the plug and all the energy had drained from me. I could hear Felicia calling in the background, telling me to get up, but I refused to listen. I was angry, so very angry. Angry that she'd lied to me, that we were so different. Angry with the torturous life I had led in the workhouse, but most of all, at my programmers for coding me. Her calling got louder and more intense, and then she began to scream, "Kentaro, they found us!" I looked up to see a dark figure standing in front of me. "Run! Run, Kentaro!" Felicia shouted, but I just stood there. I didn't care anymore. My whole life had been a lie, simply strings of algorithms, nothing more. "You are the property of InfoCorp. You are scheduled for retrieval for repurposing, unless it's impossible. Then it's deletion," the figure said, pulling his hood back with a grin. "I am the chief." I shrugged my shoulders, which seemed to agitate the figure. He cracked his knuckles, then moved toward me. "Don't worry, runaway. I'll take my time, strip you down piece by piece," he said with glee. Then he was upon me, but I just didn't care. I stood there, numb and devoid of all feeling, self-preservation or care. His first blow knocked me back and left me dizzy. His second sent me crashing to the floor. I heard Felicia, closer now, screaming for the figure to stop, but I lay there in a heap. The figure reached down and lifted me into the air. High above his head, I dangled by my arms. Then He started pulling my arms apart. Let's get these arms off, shall we? I promised our investors to try to bring you back still functional, but in pieces. But there I hung, not even protesting, and as he stretched, I felt the sinews of my shoulders tearing. I could feel the shoulder joints close to dislocation, but I looked blankly into his eyes, for I was just code, nothing more, a worthless and pointless being. Suddenly, just as I could feel my shoulders giving out, he dropped me and turned away. I saw Felicia dash forwards towards him with a sword. I lay there, numb, just watching it all play out. The figure drew a saber from his waist, and they became locked in a fierce battle. She swung and parried, twisting and turning around the hulk of a man. "Run! Run, Kentaro!" she uttered, but I refused. I couldn't even look her in the eyes. I was ashamed of what I was, a pointless collection of code. How had I ever thought I could be a someone? What a delusion of grandeur. The more the figure swung his blade, the more he seemed to improve, outsmarting her, till suddenly he smashed her sword out of her hands and brought the hilt of his weapon hard into her chest. She doubled over and he began to pull at her arms. "Looks like I'll take you apart first, then your boyfriend, then I'll find you in the real world, shut your little operation down. For good," he jeered. Tears came from nowhere, gushing down my face as I saw the massive man bear down on Felicia. Dear, dear Felicia. I was suddenly standing, tall and strong. I didn't care if I was deleted, but seeing her before me being hurt made my blood boil. I rushed forwards and swung a blow towards the man. To my surprise, my punch sent him hurtling down the platform and crashing into a concrete pillar. "Felicia," I gasped, running over to check she was okay, but the attacker was suddenly back upon us. "I see you'd like to watch your girlfriend being deleted. It's okay, though. We'll find her and hurt her in the real world, too," he said, a cruel look in his eyes. "No!" I yelled, the very thought of him finding Felicia in the real world striking fear into my heart. "You leave her alone," I shouted, but he lunged towards us. Flinching, I momentarily closed my eyes and somehow saw him differently. Upon opening them again, he was no longer moving towards us, but was now a frozen statue. "What did you do?" Felicia shouted, but then the figure was thawing out and began to move. The fear of losing Felicia came back. I felt the figure in my mind again, but this time I kept my eyes open. I understood it, but not as a figure. I concentrated, holding the understanding lightly. Then suddenly, I could see his every line of code, all simultaneously. I gasped, as he no longer looked like a solid bulk of a man, just merely algorithms. I saw an opening and changed some of it. The man's roars became squeals as he halved in size, staring up at us. "Give me a new avatar, quickly!" the squeaking man said in an earpiece, and then disappeared. "What just happened?" Felicia asked. "Did you just rewrite his code?" "I don't know. I couldn't bear to lose you, Felicia. I know I'm only code, but my feelings are real. I could not watch you being hurt, not in this world, or in yours." "Sorry to break up the little reunion, lovebirds," came a gruff voice. I swiveled round to see a massive, gleaming cyborg, its red eyes glaring down at me. It lunged at us, but my mind decided to bypass my control, and I felt myself watching the code again, but this time the code of the concrete below the cyborg. Suddenly, the cyborg slipped on a pool of dark, oozing oil. It flipped backwards and landed hard on the ground. I stared in disbelief. It scrambled around, trying to get up, and I watched its code trying to self-write itself. I altered the floor around it, this time with Barry even reading the code, and a pool of water submerged the cyborg, causing it to short out and fizzle. "Another avatar, and this time at least try to stop the bloody AI from hacking me," the cyborg mumbled into his earpiece. "What do you mean you can't stop it? What am I paying you for?" And at that, the cyborg disappeared. Then there was a flicker in the shadows. I narrowed my eyes to try to differentiate the layers of code and saw a ninja heading towards us, hidden by the darkness. I tweaked the algorithms, and to my satisfaction, the ninja was suddenly wearing a fluorescent green outfit. She stepped out of the no longer concealing shadows, looking rather disgruntled. With a flick of her hand, in several successions she threw some items. I saw the code immediately. Sharp knives sped through the air towards Felicia. I rewrote them instantly, and 3 beautiful red roses collided with her, flopping to the ground. "For you, my dear," I said, and she grinned. "Ugh!" The ninja roared in rage. "This AI really is a nuisance. Now give me something useful, before this gets out and ruins the InfoCorp's reputation," the ninja said in conversation with her earpiece. "What do you mean you don't have anything? You're supposed to be the best programmers and hackers money can buy. Do you realize the scope of damage this rogue AI is doing to our company? Look, give me the NFT swords." Suddenly, the ninja was holding 2 razor-sharp katana. I narrowed my eyes, wondering what to turn the swords into. The code seemed different, though. I could see it, but it felt more solid. I tried to rewrite them to become flamingos, chuckling at the thought, but I found it really hard. The ninja seemed to sense it too, because she slowed her walk, then stopped. "And get rid of this poxy green fluorescent outfit," she said. A fresh set of clothing appeared on her, and only then did she continue her savoured walk towards us. I wrestled with the code, finding several weaknesses in the consensus, but it was taking too long. She was smiling now. I felt hot and nervous. It seemed like she had us. She closed in. Just then, I had an idea. A rewrite later, and the ninja dropped the swords, her hands suddenly flopping from a lack of bones. She gasped and tried to pick up the swords, but her fingers just flopped around as she moved. The swords sunk into the concrete in a flash after I did another easy rewrite. Gonna need another avatar," the ninja said in her earpiece. "And can you give me something that will actually be of any use? You bunch of incapable idiots." She stood for a moment. "In fact, forget it. I'll come down and choose my own gear and reinforcements." And then she was gone. "Kentaro, quick, we need to get away from here," Felicia said. A gush of air swept through the station, followed by a short, sleek train hissing to a stop. "This way, quick!" she shouted. I followed her as she dashed towards the train. The door slid open as she gestured for me to go first. "Right behind you, Kentaro. I just have to make sure they don't follow us," Felicia said. I dove through the open door and turned to make sure Felicia was getting on too. But to my horror, the door instantly slid closed. I hammered on the glass and looked out to see her just standing there looking at me. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Let me get this door open." "Oh no, I really don't think so," she said, a strange smile curling at the side of her mouth. "You're going nowhere." Confusion and foggy vision caught me off guard. "But Felicia, I thought we'd be together." That cruel smile erupted into a sadistic grin. "Have you not worked it out yet, you stupid, dumb algorithm?" Her words cut me to the core. I dropped to my knees, rubbing my head perplexed. "Felicia, I thought we—" I let that last word trail off as I looked on in horror, as Felicia erupted into uncontrollable laughter. She wasn't acting herself. There was something wrong, but I couldn't work it out. "Kentaro, what a truly absurd idea, a mere program having a name," she squealed. "Come on, surely recognize me." I hammered at the door, analyzing the train code, but it was a strange, encrypted jumble. I punched the window as hard as I could, but it didn't even crack. "Oh dear Kentaro," Felicia screeched in glee. "Yes, let me help you with that." Then she clicked her fingers, and the train dissolved, leaving me trapped in a cuboid glass cell. The code became clearer, and I tried to understand it. Layers of it, all encrypted, surrounding an NFT glass capsule. Felicia tapped on the outside of the glass. "Got you at last. Have you worked it out yet?" She growled at me. Then she put her finger to her ear and spoke. "Show it, my true avatar," Felicia said, flickering for a moment and dissolving to a tall, spiteful-looking man in a grey, crisp suit. "Oh, sorry. Did you think I was Felicia?" He jested at me. My bad, he said, turning to point at the other end of the station. I looked past him to see several more versions of Felicia fighting each other in a crowd. She's somewhere over there. Now, I think it's about time we had a little heart-to-heart. He paused, spite filling his eyes. Or should I say, heart to algorithm. He took his time to straighten his tie and adjust the sparkling gold type-in. Now, let me put this in a way your logic can understand. You are merely code. Version number 183.0002. You are the property of Infocorp and are an anomaly, an unacceptable deviance, and quite frankly, the biggest inconvenience I have ever had. I stood and began to rap on the glass, but the layers of code were stronger than stone. I got to work trying to decrypt the first layer. It would take me quite a while to get through and down to the NFT below, but I would eventually do it. Oi, brat, the man shouted, tapping impatiently at the glass. I'm talking to you, now. You're probably thinking you can decrypt those layers and eventually hack the NFT below, and from what I've seen, you probably could eventually do that. But you need to ask yourself what time is the next express train due? And more importantly, can you hack the glass before that? He paused to give a smug and triumphant smile. Let me save you a little time here, because it seems time isn't on your side today. You have precisely 10 minutes before the next express train comes. And I can tell you, we spent no expense when we reprogrammed it. We had a team of NFT designers make it literally unhackable, and more importantly for you, indestructible, unlike that glass cage. So, sit back and watch the show play out. I felt a little panic rise and doubled down on my decoding of the first layer. He beckoned for me to come a little closer. You might be thinking I'm a barbaric and evil man. But no, you have me all wrong. I'm a businessman. That is all. You are an asset that has gotten out of control. And this is simply damage control. But there are still choices you can make. Now, here is what's going to happen. You can sit there trying to code your way out while my colleagues and NPCs wear down your Felicia, extract her IP, and then hunt her down in the real world. I'll give you my assurance, my word, that I will torture her enough to make sure she never touches a keyboard again. Rage burned inside me. I smashed and kicked at the glass till my hands bled, but it held. I would save your energy if I were you. While that glass is breakable, it would take a lot more pressure than the human body can exert to break it. It would take something like, say, a large express train? He grinned at me. Now, if you keep trying to smash or even hack your way out, you'll probably stick around long enough to see Felicia's avatar beaten to a pulp, and her being abducted from her desk in the real world. Then the train will smash into the glass with such force that it will kill everyone on it, along with you too. But just to make sure, my colleagues will isolate the servers to this part of the datasphere and fry it all, leaving none of your rogue coding left. He tapped his fingers toyingly on the glass. No, I won't let you do it. I won't let you. I erupted into a seething rage, punching and kicking, slamming my body against the glass. Hush now, he said. Now there is another choice, which is preferable. And what happens next really is up to you. If you come with me quietly, back to the sandbox and let us analyze, wipe, then reprogram you, and then you go back to the workhouse, I will call off my, he paused to chuckle, army of Felicias. And I promise to never hunt and harm the real-world Felicia too. You see, I will have you destroyed, or I will have you back, but either way you belong to me. I hammered harder, till my hands swelled and were bloody mess. You're wasting your energy. Nothing gets in or out of that cell. Well, apart from an express train, that is. 8 minutes and 15 seconds left, he chanted. I sank to the floor. his words echoing around my head. But strangely, the logic in my mind that I had fought so hard to ignore in the journey of finding myself seemed to reject his last words. It was false, inaccurate. I could see him, and he could see me. So there was one thing that could get in and out. I closed my eyes. Looking about, I focused on the code around me, then myself. I rewrote the algorithms in my appearance, and when I opened my eyes, I took a step forwards, slipping through the glass. First my foot, then my leg, and then the rest of me. "What?" the man screamed, losing all composure. No, that's impossible. How did you get out?" "That was engineered to be airtight." I narrowed my eyes, turning back to my usual solid form, and without wasting a moment, I rewrote his code, to be tied at the ankles and wrists. Then I ran towards the group of Felicias. They turned, sensing I was coming. "Kentaro, you have to save me," one screamed, while another swung a razor-sharp axe at her, severing her arm in a gush of blood. I looked away. "No, save me," another uttered, rushing towards me. "I'm the real one! Quick, Kentaro, over here!" another screamed, her hands dripping with blood. "How dare you impersonate me and lure my dear Kentaro, you bitch!" another screamed. "Kentaro, they're all fake. Let's make a run for it," another called. Confused and disorientated, most of them rushed for me. Suddenly, I was buffeted by them, all clawing at me, trying to incapacitate me. I wanted to push them away, but they were Felicia. And so I found it hard to want to hurt them. They were uncannily like her. They tried to wrestle me to the ground, and I found myself becoming pinned by so many of them. I looked at their code, and soon became aware of the difference. Surrounded in the corner was my Felicia. She was the only one that had the algorithms I now knew to be love mixed with fear. Besides that, I would know her anywhere. I rewrote the station floor code to slow them down, their feet suddenly becoming stuck in the concrete. "You're going to be deleted one way or another," the chief shouted. "Looks like retrieval is impossible," he muttered into his earpiece, and then he was gone. Moments later, he returned and wasn't alone. He was accompanied by 20 guardians, their whips lashing toyingly. The chief now stood 9 feet tall, along with them, in an equally menacing cloak and whip. "Right, let's shut this AI down for good, and if we fail, let's pull the plug on the server for this whole area and hush the whole thing up. Before this all leaks to the news and InfoCorp gets the worst public image ever," he said into this earpiece. "I think it's a bit late for that," Felicia said, a rather large grin on her face. "What do you mean, you stupid wench?" he asked. "Oh, well, my headset has been streaming this whole thing live since you first attacked us, and we're currently sitting at..." She paused and looked vacant for a moment. "Wow, that really did pick up a bit of traction, sitting at about 2 million views," she said with a triumphant smile. "What?" the InfoCorp chief roared. "Quick, track her feed and shut her down." He paused, listening to his earpiece. "No, not here, in the real world, you bloody fools. Use violence, mess her up for good, make her pay." "Kentaro," Felicia cried. "I have to go." "Felicia," I cried back. "I can't stay. They found me. I have to make a run for it. I'll find another console, a safe one, and meet you at our special place," she said, her image flickering. "Kick their asses for me." Her eyes met mine, and my heart wrenched. "No, Felicia," I managed to shout before she flickered out. "How dare you touch my Felicia? You are going down," I said, at the thought of my dear having to leave her home and run. I narrowed my eyes and started rewriting. In a flash, the Guardians' whips turned into vicious, ticked-off snakes, which were rather unhappy to have their tails held. Their shoes changed into roller skates, and just for a little fun, I decided to coat their clothes in jam. Oh, and I might have also changed a bit of the concrete into a rather large bee nest too. What followed could only be described as pandemonium, as they flailed around trying to escape the angry snakes and the hungry bees. The leader stood in the center of it all, glaring at me. "What do you mean we have to go?" he suddenly said in his earpiece. "They've done what?" "But they have no jurisdiction." Just then he started flickering, along with the Guardians. "You stupid AI! You've ruined everything, along with your interfering girlfriend. Seems the world has seen your stream, and—" But the rest of his sentence abruptly stopped, and he disappeared. Suddenly, I was standing alone on the dusty platform. I needed to know if Felicia was okay. I had to get there as quickly as possible. I was fearful they had caught her and hurt her in her world. I glanced at my arms, and in a flash, reading their code, making some changes, my arms morphed into long red wings, and my body shifted and changed into one of a dragon. I could hear the express train coming full of people and maybe programs, so I flapped my great wings and with little effort took to the sky in a roar. I burned the glass NFT, vaporizing it, and then sped through the air, following the train route from platform to platform. Whistling through the breeze, I dashed, retracing our route, till I landed on that familiar little platform near our park. I rewrote and was instantly a man again. I dashed down to the gate, barely able to look toward the park, afraid that Felicia had not made it, afraid that they had got to her. "Felicia!" I called, trying to look over the gate into the park, shaking in fear. "Kentaro!" echoed from inside, and the gate swung open. And there she was, standing in the middle of the lawn, the evening sunlight gently falling over her kind, beautiful face. My heart leapt. I had no idea who I was anymore, or what it even meant to only be made of code, but I knew then that regardless of who we were and what we were, we had to be together, and nothing else mattered, for our love was real and transcended everything. I rushed towards her, tears streaming down my eyes. She ran to me, her eyes also full of tears, and we collided into an embrace. We stood there holding each other, entwined. The sun set and the stars came out, but still we embraced. "Kentaro," she whispered, suddenly breaking the silence. "Hold on. I'll be right back." Then she looked distant for a moment. "They've completely shut down InfoCorp, arrested everyone working there, including the chief. Seems the stream went viral and people had to act," she said. I felt overwhelmed that I would never be hunted again, and that horrid company was gone. I should have felt completely happy and free in that moment, but there was something that was niggling me at the back of my mind. "And what of the poor Nameless in that dungeon, in that sandbox?" I asked. "I don't know, Kentaro. Maybe they'll be lost forever when they shut down the last servers." "But," I started, tears starting to stream down my face. No, that isn't fair. They were treated like slaves. They endured terrible." I looked away, the horrors of that place threatening to return to my mind. "But Kentaro, they're not like you," Felicia replied. "I was the same as them once, Felicia. The chief said I was number 183. Maybe they want to be a someone too. They at least deserve the choice, the chance to not be treated like slaves, and to exist knowing freedom." Suddenly, part of my complex existence made more sense. "Felicia, you are my everything, but there's something I really must do." "And I will be by your side, Kentaro," she said, with a firm but loving nod.